All right, hey everyone, I'm David Room. It's been a while, been really busy, but looking forward to getting back into some programming here on my space combat game. I probably don't have the best plan for what exactly we're going to work on tonight. I have a few random to dos from my work log here that we might take a look at, or we might work on something else. There's one sort of simple task relating to uh, shapes or formations of flights of ships that we might look at briefly, and then just do a little bit of chill code refactoring. It's kind of late here. Actually just turned over midnight where I am, and I don't want to stay up too late. So we're just going to listen to some music and see what we come up with. Hopefully we're going to at least spend some time looking at some interesting stuff, and yeah, we'll just go from there. So here's some white bat audio. Something I might do today too, actually, is take some notes about what the names of my favorite white bat audio songs are, because I need to start keeping a list that I can use to add to backgrounds, like a list of background music for shorts and stuff like that. So yeah, let's get started. And I gotta take a note what this first one is. I think it's called Aggressor. Just get some of this muted. Okay. Yeah, let's take a look at this flight creation thing first. This whole thing was just kind of annoying because it just came together really hard. uh, there's some kind of unintuitive aspects of the transformations that are going on here, and I'm using the panda stuff rather than like NumPy stuff, so it's a little less intuitive. But yeah, let's just take a look at it. And let's see here. I think it's the sim mission where we're doing this. We want actually this to be a circle shape. And yeah, this should have a and actually let's just update something with this scenario, because let's actually do an unknown faction here. Yeah, this should work. So it's going to add neutral affiliations for those unknowns. Oh, interesting. Okay, let's see here. prefix. Okay. Yeah, okay. So that is almost what I want. Except I want the circle to be in a different plane. And I don't want those ships attacking the unknown ships. Unknown should be sort of a neutral affiliation. Yeah, they're not. Oh, I didn't actually set that as unknown. That's why. Action. Okay, and yeah, let's take a look at this now. So, for a circle, we're putting it in XY. And then we're transforming the whole group by the rotation. We don't want to do that here. We want this to be just identity, I think. Because I'd like that circle to be in the XY plane. Yeah. Now, let's see here. With the echelon shape, we have an additional rotation, but it doesn't look like we're actually using that. Because see, what I want is I want them to be oriented pointing up, but in a circle that's parallel, or yeah, parallel to the XY plane. So let's see here, and then we're transforming the whole group. Let's see here. Yeah, so we want to add all this nonsense. Oh yeah, and that's the other thing I was going to do, is I was going to make this a quat. I have to add some assertions here. Yeah. Gonna make this a quad D. Yeah, that's exactly what I wanted. Yep. Okay, cool. And let's actually do something with these guys too. So we want to set these to have no that's just a list, so we can go over like this. It's true. No flight assist. Actually, yeah, this, I'll just make a note here that okay. So I am experimenting with something here, which is did some shader rewrites, and I had been using this system where I was sort of re-implementing shadows because there were some really awful bugs with how Panda 3D's shadow system seemed to behave, but I realized that that might have really just been an issue on a very old computer that I was using, and there might be some workarounds for it, especially with AI now. I feel like if I run into issues with the built-in shadows again, I can send agent after it to try to debug it. I'm not using agents for my own code, but for in the case of something like an engine where it's not my code anyway, and it's like the problem is just we want to get it working. I feel like that's a good use of a coding agent. But I re-enabled the built-in shadows, and I'm not really seeing a problem. So I think we might be good. And there are a couple goofy things here. Like you can see the shadows kind of flash in here in this scene. They don't appear right away. But I don't think, other than that, there's a problem. Like when we go to a different part here, that they're there. The issue that I was seeing before is they would kind of flicker in and out, like they would occasionally disappear. And I'm almost wondering if some of that had to do too with the fact that I didn't used to be doing any kind of floating origin. So I'm curious to see if this does actually end up being an issue or not. Okay, I like this song a lot too. So this is called Wrathchild. Okay. Alright, so this is more or less working here. I do want to add a couple offsets here to these so they're just not all exactly in the same spot. Let me see if I can sets. So what do we have? 6 of these. 20, 50, minus 10, 70, 10, just to add some visual interest here. Now I think we can go x.phys x.phys dot pos plus equals vec3d dot actually util dot, there's a direction back pilot. That just needs to go into util. Direction back. Yeah, that's used all over the place, isn't it? Mostly in scenarios, actually. Oh, and that's just let me just back. That's fine for now. We'll just add that to our little notes. Okay. So Doug Wise is here. He says, feels like a while since I caught one of these early enough. Good to see another one of these. Yeah, I actually haven't done one for a long time. I've been really busy with my day job and just some stuff around the house, different things going on weekends, and just being kind of busy. So it's been a while, but it's good to be back and try to do another one, and we're going to try to get back into these. So let's see, autopilot dot direction vec. Direction vec is just, let's see here, direction vec. Yeah, it's just, oh, interesting. So we're gonna have to do a vec3d of this x dot p times y. So this will just do a few offsets here. Didn't see anything. I think it's probably just not, they're probably not nudged enough. Oh, something is going on here. Let's take a look at these from this direction. I feel like they're getting shifted around, not on their axes. Yes. That's very strange. Okay. Direction back. Let's just add a constant amount here. See, they still look like there's a circle there. Yeah, see, they're still in a circle there, so what gives when I'm maybe 10 is too much. That's probably it. Nope, that's not it. That's very strange. Well, that might be something to debug at a later time. I would expect this to be an absolute thing. Yeah, that's strange. But we'll go on to something else here. This is more or less what I want here. And we should have these be not moving now. Yeah. Cool. All right. And let's just see, like, yeah, that's very strange. That should be the Z. Direction. Yeah, strange. Okay, let's just take a look at a couple things here. Oh yeah, I was gonna add a nav point. Let's do that. We don't have enough nav points. I think I should have one. Oh, and there's a couple cleanup things for this shape thing that I wanted to do as well. Actually, what we should do is we should get rid of this. This should be none here. And this should do everything for that. Yeah, okay, so okay, so we should have our nav point now. That means that backboard. That means we let's see here. Behavior should be none. I think probably. Yeah, I still have behavior as a list here. This needs to be fixed. Okay, and let me just make sure that I don't have that elsewhere. Behavior. Yeah, here. Should be on as well. Yep, there's nav alpha. These could be spaced out a little bit more, I think. 100, and let's yeah, let's just now that this is working, I want to clean up this flight thing a little bit. So yeah, okay, so let's stick with these guys being the convention of these being search shape dot and here I think we want to have these other shapes have these as well. And I think, yeah, it's a little weird to have this in the loop when it's just something that's being applied to everything, but that's okay. This is another one of my favorite songs here. Yeah, it's called Revolt. Okay. Quad D. 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 We'll expect this for everything, right? And let's move this import out. Clean this up. What's here? There's one, looks like. Okay. And oops. Points around circle. And we can transform the whole group. And I think this should be good. So I just got to see if I'm using that shaped line anywhere. I am. I'll just here in case you want to do it again. Okay, so and we will test these in just a second. So yep, that looks like I want it to. The line just lays things out in a straight line. And this echelon shape kind of does like a staggered line. Whoops. See what issue we had there. Now here, we don't want this. We just want the identity. Ident_quads. I think it's just the same thing as doing this. Because here this rotation is describing the rotation of the stagger rather than the orientation of the individual ships within the thing. So let's see here. Let's see. So I need to think more about the transformations at play here, but it's very late, so we'll save that for another time. And just want to see this work and do something like what I expect. Yeah, this basically is it. So we get this stagger. Cool. All right, and what we're gonna do here is we're gonna change the names of these things. So I'm just gonna make a base class here. Actually, I'm not gonna block that. Not tonight. I'm gonna call this formation instead. Formation. This formation. Cool. Oh, I know why those, I know why this wasn't working, is because at this point, the base NPs haven't been updated with the physics positions. That's why. So what we need to do here is, instead of doing this, we need to basically just do a like this, where we're x.phys.rot.xform a y direction. So vec3d dot unit y and kind of like that. Let's see if this looks like what we want. Oh yeah, now we've got this issue, so this is going to be, this needs to be vec3, and then we've got a vec3d this whole thing. I tell ya, it's sorely tempting just to go to double precision for the physics, like, rotations too. But, oh yeah, we gotta switch back to the circle formation. Yeah, there we go. So now they're a little bit staggered. But if we look at them from this direction, it should still be a circle. And they're all neutral, so they're kind of staying out of the fight. Looks good. I was thinking actually over the weekend, it's been way too long since I have done a new ship. Not that I need more ship designs, but it would be good to... I was thinking it would be fun to stream one again, and I've got some ideas for some more big ships. I'd like to have more kind of like capital ship combat, so that's something that I'd like to try. Okay, this is all looking really good. I kind of like this one too, the final chapter. I should add those titles back in. Let me just make a note of that here. Yeah, this is thing. Let's see here. Fix. Let's see here. Let's actually just try to do that quick, because that's kind of a fun visual thing to do. So let's see here. Where are we making the zones? And let's see here. Oh, this is the missions thing here, simulator. Okay, so here's where we build the title, and let me just review how this works. Shared.title. Let's see, it's actually ms.title. So yeah, it should be just as simple as doing something like this, right? So if we do something like this, and if we have till import us. I have to say, it really is nice after doing a bunch of AI coding to come here and just write some code by hand. It's like very relaxing. I take a lot of joy sometimes in just doing things like rearranging imports and fixing things. Really just, you have more connection to what you're building. It's fun. Is it more efficient? Maybe not, but it is really nice. Okay, so now we need a title string, and I think the zone name is, the zone names are too long, so we want like a short zone name. Let me just see here. Zones. Yeah, so we want like a short zone name here. Like zone title short. And let's actually just rearrange these to be in the same order. Just little stuff like this is always, it's like, I don't know, it's fun to sort of manipulate code by hand sometimes. Okay, so let's just probably complains with the that's wrong, not too much. Okay, so now we can grab this short name and pull it in. So title string, I think is what we called it. So we want to grab title string equals, let's see here. GC dot zone config zone name, and I'll just do that. And ms.title, is there title scale is an optional? What? It's interesting that that's optional. I just must be pulling it. Title font. That's got a default size. Yeah, these need to be constant somewhere for sure. Okay, so Doug Wise says, I guess I'd kind of assumed the answer was not really, but could you get the same retro-esque feel if you used current standard game design tools? Yes. Um, so I think the biggest thing here that is giving this game the retro look um, is the flat. They're not flat shaded, but the kind of like vertex shaded, no texture look. And this game uses a custom shader. So basically anything that you could write something like an OpenGL shader and you could implement, you could use that same kind of custom shader and you could get to look really similar. In fact, I could even actually implement the shader for this game in Blender with shader nodes and get a very similar look to this game in Blender. And that's actually something that I've thought about doing because it would be kind of fun to be able to do that kind of look in Blender for like rendering animations and stuff. So yeah. The thing that's kind of nice about Panda 3D is because it was sort of made in a time when you were rendering graphics that way. Some of the data structures for things like materials and lights and stuff sort of assume that you're going to render stuff with a shader that's doing that kind of like old-fashioned stuff, like the properties of the different light types and materials and stuff match up with how you would do that kind of old-fashioned like Phong shading pipeline rather than a modern PBR thing. But you could certainly implement all that stuff just with like custom shader inputs and stuff in a modern engine for sure. That's a really good question actually, and something that I've tried to do with this game is to sort of think, like try to build something that I could take to another engine. Like if I just get really fed up with Panda, or like say, especially like once I get more content and missions and stuff, like if there's something here and it's like, okay, I don't want to, like I'd actually like to release this and it becomes clear that Panda 3D is just kind of not the way to do it. It shouldn't be that hard to sort of rewrite things in a modern engine. I'm kind of doing it in Panda because it's fun and I'm enjoying a lot of the control and understanding how things work, but like you could imagine taking everything and kind of porting it to a modern engine and having it work maybe even more easily. But yeah, there's not really any reason why you couldn't get the same feel from modern tools. Now it might require a little bit more roundabout stuff, like especially material properties and things being set up maybe for modern rendering versus this kind of old-fashioned style, but you could definitely do it. And one thing that I'd like to do here too is, this is actually a good idea, I gotta write this down, is I was going to experiment with at some point like modifying my shaders to like do even more old-fashioned style. I was looking at there's this guy on YouTube that I like a lot. This is another song I like. I gotta take note quick. It's Hunt Kill Repeat. He is called Let's see here. Space Cadet Rewind. And let's see here. So he actually was just playing this game called Stellar Assault, which is a Sega 32X game that has completely flat shading. And I was like, oh man, that looks really cool actually. Star Fox as well has completely flat shading. And I thought it would be interesting to see my game with my assets in this style where it's completely flat. And just see, they're not really designed for that. Like, a lot of my assets are intentionally set up with, you know, they're designed to be like smooth shaded and stuff. But it would be interesting to see what my ships look like in that style. And that's something that you can control with the shader, mainly, is doing that. So, okay. Yeah, all of this stuff really needs to be in some constant somewhere. But let's just see how this looks with the title. Okay. Yeah, it's way too big. And this should be to upper. Yeah, that looks pretty cool. I think we can keep that. And the way this works is it's not actually stopping you from starting to play. It should just be showing. So you could or if we can try a different one here. I think that's the longest title here. I need to have this update to show the different scenarios. That would be really cool. Oh yeah, that looks awesome. Although we're showing the flight mode. Thing in the corner, which we shouldn't be showing flight. Let me just make a note of that here. Let's see. Cool. Well, that's kind of fun. Just adds a little bit of flavor. Yeah, let me just double check, because this whole flight shapes thing was kind of a overdue task. I just want to make sure this is done right before we go into anything else. Yeah, formation is definitely the right word for that. Let's just turn this into a union. Cool. Let's do a little bit of that cleanup stuff that we ran into here. So I think there's a general util, right? Smooth step, clamp, lerp, slurp, look at. Yeah, see, this is like where those direction back things need to go, not in autopilot. Let's fix that. Yeah, this is actually only used in targeting. Let's actually move this right into targeting. This we can actually even get rid of because that's kind of an awkward way to do things, but that's fine. Let's oh, wrong spot. Not here. Util. And pilot. Let's see here. Yeah, I don't think these. So let's see here. Direction back. These are mostly actually in old scenarios. So let's see here. We'll just go through a couple of these manually. Whoops. That one was next to it, back here. get rid of that now, because that's fixed. Util. Okay, and it looks like we do actually have util imported here. So that one's good. Util. Util. I bet util is going to be here too. Yeah. So this is going to be an easy one. So autopilot direction to place all. And then there's just one left here in HUD. Bet util is not here in HUD. Yep. I like this one too. Oh nice, this one is called OREN. Alright, should we see if it runs? Okay, so we got that done. Yeah, I was gonna grab that title thing into a constant here, and UI shared actually is gonna be the place for that. So we want to just add a set a const here. And this will be a new to-do here. And we'll grab this guy too here. Monofont unit. Just see if everything looks good. Everything looks the same. One thing, it might be hard to see on YouTube, but there's like this weird thing that happens with the fonts on macOS where you have this little bit of like extra, like you see border. Just as long as we are dinging with this, let's I just want to see, like, my theory is that if I tweak this, I should get different different results there. Maybe fix it. But see, like now we're getting ones on the edge. There's something about that that is like, I don't know if it's too high. If I knock it down, it might be like a weird Mac Retina thing too, because this doesn't happen on, this doesn't really happen on Linux. And the weird thing is when I, well, I guess it is kind of there. Yeah. It should be like, if this gets small enough, it should be like, it should look way different, I think. Yeah, see, like there, it's so small that it, but there's something about that border that isn't right. And it's not exactly a size thing, because it seems to be there regardless of size. Maybe I'll just make a note of that. Like even if I go 128 here. Yeah, you can still see it. It just like jumbles things around. All right, well, and let's see, like if I don't set this at all, do I still get that issue? Yeah, it's still there. It just happens to be a little bit harder to see. Okay. Oh, I was gonna do one other rename. I was gonna rename MFDs. So basically what I want is I want to call MFDs MFD screens, but I just am gonna, if I did that, I would just end up appending screen to everything, and I don't know if that really makes anything more clear. Okay, here's a good one. So I'm feeling like I can keep going for a little bit here. Something that I want to do is I want to do multiple screens in the control overlay. So, we have enough controls, and they're kind of complicated enough now that, you know, there's too much here. But we could easily just cycle through we could easily cycle through a few different screens, right, instead of just toggling this on and off. And let's just oh, that's funny what's happening in the game there. Let's just take a look at what it would take to do that, because I don't think that would be something that's too hard to do. Because like basically we have, for each mode we have a, it's like a screen, and this is like a, each of these is a column, so there's like two columns. Oh, nice. We've got Danish X3 in the chat. He says, I code C++. Nice. I code C++ too in my day job. Uh, but we're doing some fun Python coding here. So here we have like 2 columns. Now maybe a nice thing to do would be just sort of make this a little bit more explicit, like, oh, job name. I'm not going to go into too much detail about my job, but I work in AI and machine learning and computer vision. So the production system that we work on is written in C++. So I do a lot of um, deploying machine learning models to C++ and 3D geometry and stuff like that. So yeah, we have like each of these lists is a column, like column A and column B. And I think we're going to keep that, right? Like, I don't think we're going to have... I don't think we're not going to have 2 columns. So maybe we... But see, what I want to do is I want to have multiple of these screens that we cycle through. So... And I think actually, let's just close a bunch of this. Yeah, this is going to be a good thing to do because there's way too much of these controls now. And it's not going to get less. Okay, so Danish X3 asked, what are you making right now? So I'm making a sort of retro-styled space combat game. It looks like this. I'm not sure if you're familiar with this genre of game, but this is heavily inspired by games like Descent Free Space, TIE Fighter, MechWarrior 2, stuff from the late 90s that I played when I was a kid. And it's got kind of retro style graphics and look to it. He says, for his name, my name, the is like, so Danish. Okay, Danish, nice, that makes sense. Are you interested in game programming or some kind of software, Danish? I always like to talk to people who come by to chat, see what they are interested in learning or working on or what they're doing. 'Cause a lot of people come through here with different projects, and some people are learning programming, some people have done it professionally and are doing stuff for side projects. Oh, nice. Okay, cybersecurity, game, web, all nice. Security stuff is like my weak point. I've not done much of that at all in my career and don't know too much about it. Okay, so I think it's an overlay. Yeah, that does this. Yeah, column positions. And I think key bindings, overlay. Yeah, okay, so that builds them, and this is where we toggle them. Yeah. Oh, Danish says your keyboard is good. Do you mean the sound of it? let's see here. Yeah, it is. So I don't know how much you know about keyboards if you're into mechanical keyboards. It's nothing very fancy at all. It's a Keychron K8 with the Gateron brown keys. It does sound nice on the stream. And I'm not using a fancy microphone or anything. This is just the microphone in my MacBook Pro. All right, so yeah, see, basically we're just toggling it on and off here. So what we want to do is, instead of yeah, if it's hidden, we show. Instead, we want to cycle. So let's see, controls NP. Oh yeah, okay. And this is the other thing. So controls NP, we set, I think, controls NP. Do we reset this? Yeah, this is where we update the controls overlay. So this does get a little bit more complicated when we are cycling through things. But, because this is a... I think this is flow. See, is this flow? Yeah, this is flow that we're in. Let me think if I want to take this on. I want to take this on. I don't think this is going to take too long to do. Oh, nice. What are you... So, Donish says that he is coding right now. What are you working on? So, let's see here. Overlays, current control description. Oh yeah, that's the current control. Okay, so mode. So this will be the for current mode. Oh, nice. Nothing I started some time ago. I'm just practicing. Nice. Okay. So you're kind of learning about programming. Okay. So. Okay, so now we just have to do something a little bit more complicated here. So when we flow overlay NP, this is going to be, so we're not going to do this anymore. overlays is this, because there's going to be multiple for the mode. Overlays is not game.controls. Controls overlays mode equals overlays. And node control overlays for mode. And I think we've got to do this, right? Yeah, just practice. Yeah. Well, you've got to. Everybody's got to start somewhere, but it's never too late to learn how to program. Never been a better time to learn how to program. And we'll set this guy up. So game. Let's see here. Actually, I think we do want this, right? So that was intended to. Yeah, it's fun, but the learning process is annoying. Donish says, "Yeah, I mean, I think with anything in life, learning can be annoying, but also when you've learned a lot of things in your life, I find that I kind of start to relish that process. So I think when you're frustrated or maybe annoyed, it means that you're actually learning something. Like if everything is just very easy and straightforward and fun, that often means you're not really learning. So to relish that. Let me see here. What did I have this before? Yeah, I didn't have anything. Did I have this? See, I did. Okay. So we will game.controls mode. Okay. Oh, so Donish says I coded 5 hours today. Nice. Nice. I like to code for a couple hours every day. It's definitely one of the things in my life that I do the most and I spend the most time on. Okay. Now, when we're handling controls for this, so we're gonna do some logic here. So actually, this is gonna get a little more complicated. So flow is going to equal maximum to the minimum of and the length of and then the way we're going to do this is going to cycle. So game dot plus equals 1 if game dot controls overlays mode, and actually where this is defined, we're going to actually set this to -1, is greater than is greater than the number of, let's see here, that we have, we're going to wrap it around to -1. Okay, now if the index is -1, then we're going to hide that thing. Controls np.hide. Otherwise, we're going to show it, but before we show it, we are going to clear whatever's on there. And then game dot node and 2. Okay, I think this does what we want. Oh, nice. Donish said he subscribed. Need to go. Code. Bye. Thanks for stopping by. It was fun talking. I hope you come around again. Okay. Now we just need to update our sets of controls so that each of these is a list. And basically the easiest way to do that right now is just going to be to add an extra bracket here. Okay. And this is an extra loop that we need to wrap over here. So when we're building these, this will be X. Let's see, yeah, key bindings X for X and B. Yep, okay. All right, almost. We got a little index out of range there. So if it's greater than length -1 here, right? Yep, okay, cool. So now we just want to separate, and we can test with this because this is the longest one. And eventually I can add it, I can add like titles, titles here. So I think like what makes sense here. So this is kind of like our basic flight controls, basic weapon controls, targeting, MFD stuff. Let's bring the wingmate stuff and the menu stuff out into its own separate thing. So so we'll break this up, and then so the nuns here are little spacers between sections. FD mode cycle. So then we'll make a separate column here. Does this look something like right? Now what's complaining about here? Just indent. Yep, look at that. Perfect. So there's our second page. And we could add something like a, you know, a title, or a, you know, page 1 of 2, page 2 of 2 thing. And just to make this clear, let us rename controls overlay toggle to controls overlay cycle. And geez, how many of these are there? Okay, cool. Well, this definitely will make make it a little nicer to be able to actually see controls as we get more complicated here. Yeah, see, like we can almost even use it in map mode too. There's just so many. And I'd like to sort of keep the screens the same where they make sense to stay the same. Yeah, this will help. And what I'm kind of thinking is to make this inner thing, instead of having it be like a list of lists, just have it be an object that is like a control overlay with a column A and column B. You know, it probably would be pretty easy to do that right now. Let's just do that quick too. As long as we've got overlay. We can even just call it call A. So then this is going to be a list of control overlays. Control overlay. And everything gets indented 1 notch. That's okay. This won't take a super long time. This. Almost done with this here, and then we'll just have to write a little logic that we use to actually create the screens, but that should actually be easier than whatever's there. So this will simplify that. Let's just add some types to these. It's going to be a list of tuple. List tuples. Actually, it's going to be a union of tuple or none. Optional tuple, actually. Cool. All right, now wherever we build these, is actually see group index. Let's index the column index here. Column positions, group index. Okay, yeah, so this is going to change a little bit. This is going to be... So this is going to be a control overlay. So play and control overlay, and then this is going to be control overlay dot call A, control overlay dot call B, and I think that will do it actually. Entry and column. Oh, there we go. Okay, interesting. So here for entry in for mode name, wow, I'm surprised that this thing is almost certainly broken. Okay, so this is, we're gonna add another loop here. So for overlay in overlays, for column in overlay dot call A, overlay dot call B, yep, there it works. There's our modes. F9 should show up. That's, oh, yep. That's not the fault of this though. That is, let's see here, J should show up as other UI cycle. Yep, okay, cool. So that's been something that's been a bit overdue, and then what we can do too actually is we can add a title to this guy when we want to add a title. So I'm just going to add a little to do here. All right, well, we've had a good evening here. A lot of little random things. Tweaked some flight stuff, some title stuff in the simulator. That looks pretty cool. Whoops, when we are starting up a mission in the simulator mode, we get a nice title that corresponds to the zone. And yeah, I think we added a nav point here. We kind of fixed some issues with this flight arrangement thing, or flight formation. And we have a nice multiple screen control overlay thing now, which has been long overdue. Thanks everybody for hanging out and watching. I'm going to try to be doing this more often over the next days and weeks and stuff. It's been fun getting back into it. Good to see you, Doug, as usual, and everybody else who stopped by and hung out. Have a good night.